Hey folks, Josh here for another episode of the weekly where I check in and I share updates on my business and I guess life journey, you can call it, especially when so much of my life is spent on the business right now, but maybe that's a chat for another time. It is Sunday, November the 5th. I swear this might be the quickest year of my life. It feels like every month of this year has just flown by. We're already in November, almost the end of 2023. Kind of crazy. Hope your year has gone well. Certainly been a lot of ups and downs and a lot of good stuff. It's just been such a crazy world, right? I was talking to somebody about this a few days ago. How crazy has the world been the last 4 years, right? COVID and the weather and the all the atrocities and the wars, like multiple wars and this and that. It's just been nuts, right? But anyways, we keep chugging along, we keep grinding. If anything, great time to be building a business, right? Because with inflation and all this other crap, it's just crazy. Anyways, hopefully things have been going well with you. Certainly a very hectic week over on my end. So if you watched last week's or listened to last week's, which hopefully you did, or go back and watch or listen to it first, we onboarded a new hire at Visto. Oh, you're going to hear my cat running around in the background because she's going crazy. Please pardon that. One day I'll get a proper studio, noise cancellation, this, that, and the other, but for right now, you got to deal with this shtick. Anyways, so things are quickly picking up at Visto. Why? Number one, we onboarded a new sales hire. So now we're doing a lot more outbound, trying to generate a lot more inbound, which has been good. Our product also just continues to improve. So it's, as I continue to post content, build the brand, generating a little bit more inbound as well. I can't speak highly enough to how I think every business owner should be posting content in one way or another, right? Not saying you have to post a ton, not saying you have to post as much as maybe I do or other people do, you know what I mean? But you should be posting something, whether it's like a weekly vlog or a post every couple days on LinkedIn or, any number of things just to share your journey, build hype, market for your product, right? Market for yourself, right? Any of that kind of stuff. So I highly recommend that. It's been a busy week. I'm looking back at my calendar right now. Had a lot of calls. It looks like minimum of like 5 to 6 calls per day, which is really what we want right now because I do all the demoing and selling for our software. So when Josh is hopping on a lot of calls every day, that's a good sign, right? Because it means we're showing off the product to a lot of people. Right now, my involvement is heavily in sales. I've certainly thought about and learned a lot as well about building and selling tech, right? Especially B2B, and how it certainly helps when you have a good mix of co-founder skills, right? So if I were to restart a tech company, or if you're thinking about starting a tech company, I would say doing it alone probably really difficult, especially B2B. And probably the best combination you could go for is number one, a techie, right? You obviously want one founder to be a techie if you're building tech. And then you want the second person to either be someone with very good sales and marketing skills and or somebody who's a bit of a domain expert who can learn and take on those sales and marketing efforts, right? Because building the product is half the battle. And I just spoke to somebody this week about this too. And maybe you have as well. Maybe you're an example of this. Somebody who tried it, starting a company on their own, or you tried starting a company with a team where no one was willing to really go out and market and sell it, right? Like there's so many examples and stories and Reddit threads on somebody who took the time to build an amazing, quote unquote, amazing product, and then they launch it and there's crickets, right? And that might be because either maybe the product isn't as good as you thought it was, or maybe it's not solving a big of a problem that you thought it would, or maybe you just don't have enough marketing and sales effort to go actually sell the thing, right? It might actually be a great product, but not enough people are learning about it or knowing about it, right? So that's really half the battle. I think anybody out there thinking of, or maybe if you're earlier on in the journey, make sure you have both product, aka engineering, if you're building tech, And number two, sales and marketing, especially B2B, right? If you're launching like a social media platform, right? If you're trying to be the next Facebook, then probably you need less sales and more marketing, right? Because if you're building a one-to-many, B2C type social media platform, you're not going to be able to scale it with sales, right? Like one-to-one sales is too expensive for a platform like that. So you must have you should have a really good marketer, and or that product better be so good that it can kind of spread through word of mouth. But if you're doing B2B SaaS, building a product and selling it to businesses, you better have one team member at least that's willing to pull up their sleeves and go push it to people, right? I mean, the other thing that I've learned the hard way with tech is it's so much harder than just making that initial sale, right? So when I used to just be a practicing lawyer, it was easy to sell, right? Somebody comes to you, they're interested, you tell them what your services are, you tell them what your price is, and they kind of say yes or no, and then you're done, right? And then you obviously have to fulfill the services, but you're kind of done on the sales side. Tech is so much different in that there's a whole customer success element, right? You might get somebody to sign up and pay for your platform on day one, but then you got to make sure that they actually onboard and use it and learn it and continue to use it over time, right? Otherwise, they might not stick around for very long. So if you're charging a monthly fee, then keeping an eye on churn and usage and all that kind of stuff is super important. All of this, of course, I had no idea about when I initially got into tech about 4 years ago, and it's certainly been a very quick learning process, right? So for all of you non-tech founders who are thinking about getting into tech, take it from me, it is harder than you think it will be. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying it's impossible to learn and figure out, but do your research, do your homework, talk to people, and understand that tech is not just about building a quick and easy good product. There's a whole other side of marketing, sales, customer success that you should keep in mind. So test, market research long before you write a single line of code, or until you have somebody that write a single line of code, or until you pay an agency to write a single line of code, which be very careful with agencies. I've had bad experiences. I've heard of people with bad experiences. So anyways, I'm going on a tangent here, but hopefully this is at least somewhat interesting, especially for those of you thinking about starting your own tech company. This afternoon, on Friday, I should say, had a bunch of calls and went live for the Visto Show, right? So if you're not already following me on LinkedIn, I highly recommend it. I'll put a link to my profile in the description. But again, another example of just trying to market and promote yourself. And my LinkedIn lives, which I've been doing every 2 weeks for the last, quarter or two now. I go live. I mostly talk about Canadian immigration. So if you like my content for the business stuff, you might not love my LinkedIn lives, because I talk almost exclusively about, Canadian immigration. But again, that's for business purposes, right? To build the brand, build the following of potential, to become more of a authority in the immigration space. And the show has been a great way to do that, and, certainly helped us on the company side. So I highly recommend it to pretty much every founder or business owner, right? Not only to just build your brand and authority, have some sort of show or live like that. And then what we do as well is kind of splice that up into little clips. Makes for great content on YouTube, Shorts, TikTok, Reels, all that kind of stuff. So getting a little bit more strategic on how I create and repurpose content, right? I think one of the best questions we can ask as entrepreneurs is, how can I do something once or minimally, and then repurpose that to, where your input is small, but the output can be large, right? So can I record one show every 2 weeks and get 2+ weeks worth of content out of it, right? In my case, the answer is yes. If you have any questions about that, let me know, or shoot a comment below, and I can either help and or in future episodes I can talk about that too. So overall, things are good. I got to push hard for the next 2 weeks, because in 2 weeks from now, I'm getting married in 2 weeks, which is awesome, and then going on my honeymoon. So I'll be away for that for about 2 weeks. I'll probably miss about 2-3 weeks worth of these podcasts and weekly updates. Sorry to say. Hope you don't miss me too much. I will mention that, in the last episode I do before I go away. But what this means is want to get a lot of stuff done before then, right? Want to keep pushing, get more, add a few more clients, get the systems updated, get everybody in a good position at the company so that when I step away, we don't miss a beat. And maybe we even grow faster without this schmuck in the way of everybody, you know what I mean? But anyways, so I'm really looking forward to that. But before then, going to grind it out for a good 2 weeks, pretty hard here. So that's pretty much it for me. Hope you had a good week. Hope you're enjoying these updates. Definitely make sure you're following my Substack as well. I'll put a link to that in the description. I send that out every Monday morning. It links back to this episode, right? So if you ever miss it or you're not subscribed on YouTube, which you should be, or you're not following me on your favorite podcast platform of your choice, which you should be, and if you can drop a review, that always helps. So make sure you're on the Substack to follow along. If you have any questions, any specific topics you want me to talk about, you can also comment on my Substack posts as well, and that gives me ideas for topics to cover in future episodes. So anyways, hopefully you find this helpful. Hope you had a great week. Hope you have a good week coming up as well. Thanks as always for following along. Make sure to stay subscribed, liked, all that good stuff, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.